Chapter 23. No Ticket. Leonard walked back and forth in the narrow aisle of the train coach with the over-the-top confidence of a man who thought he was in charge. His armoured body towered over the hostages, and the flickering lights on the ceiling made long, creepy shadows on his scarred, muscular body. 2 Black Death soldiers stood on either side of a big bomb the size of a suitcase that was set up with a dead man's switch. Their eyes moved over the carriage like robots. The device sat between them, a silent warning of doom. "Listen up, shit for brains," Leonard yelled at the scared passengers, his voice full of anger and scorn. "This train will reach its final stop in just a few minutes. When it does, this bomb will go off, sending all of you sorry bastards, and anyone else within a kilometre straight to hell." He stopped for a moment to let the seriousness of his threat sink in, then added with a twisted grin, "My Talos armour will harden on impact, so I'm lucky. I'll be the only one who can get out of the wreckage." There were gasps all over the cabin. A young man stood there, shaking his legs, with wide eyes and a look of desperation. "You're a monster." Another voice spoke up, this time an older woman, with her fists clenched and her voice shaking with defiance. "You Black Death bastards have no right to do this." Then a sharper cry broke through the fear like a knife. "Zeus will save us." Connor's voice came from the middle of the coach, shaking but strong. Leonard stopped in his tracks, and his face turned into a scowl. He walked slowly and carefully towards Connor, and every move he made seemed to threaten him. He cursed the name Zeus as he said it. "Listen up, kid. Zeus is just a pretty face hiding behind a paycheck and corporate tech. He's a pawn of Midas Industries, a walking ad that acts like a hero." He leaned in close to Connor, and his left eye, which was badly hurt, looked blank while his right eye burned with anger. "He doesn't care about you. He isn't coming, and even if he does, it's already too late." Zeus could hear everything that was said through his comms from the roof. His fists clenched, and his body was tense with rage. The insult to William Stenhouse hurt a lot, but what about the threat to Connor? That hurt like fire. Leonard stood up straight and started pacing again with more energy. "That's why I joined the Black Death," he said, his voice rising into a hate-filled sermon. "People like that white-ass prick Stenhouse think they can steal from us and build empires on our backs. But now I can get back what is mine, and I can keep doing what I do best." He came to a stop, grinned, the kind of smile that made your blood run cold. "Death. It's the only thing I know how to do well, and I enjoy my work." Inside the coach, fear held the people inside, but outside, Zeus was crouched above the chaos, waiting for the signal, and when it came, he would bring hell with him. Gina said coolly, "A hobby you never gave up, Leonard." As she stepped carefully into the open, she stood still, her eyes locked on the man who had once fought beside her. Leonard's face turned into a snarl. The 2 Black Death soldiers on either side of the bomb raised their guns without thinking, aiming them at her with deadly accuracy. "Who the hell are you?" he growled, his voice full of anger. But as he realized what was happening, something changed in his face. Maybe nostalgia or the shadow of something he had lost. Well, Gina Rhodes, the same woman who helped me out during the war. We were a damn good team. For a brief moment, his face softened, but that little bit of humanity quickly turned into anger. And that same bitch who stabbed me in the back at my tribunal when you should have kept your mouth shut. Gina's jaw got tight. The words hurt, but she didn't move. We may have worn the same uniform, Leonard, she said in a cold, steady voice. But that's where the similarities end. I don't feel bad about anything. I would have let you die in that sewer outside communist France if I had known what you would become. Leonard let out a mocking laugh and twisted his lips into a cruel smile. And I'm glad you didn't. That means I can pay you back in the same way. Too bad you'll die here with these sheep while I walk away unharmed. When I get out of the rubble, I'll wrap your head up as a gift for Thanatos. He'll pay a lot. There's still a bounty on that pretty little face of yours. Leonard was enjoying his gloating, but Gina's face showed a hint of doubt. She knew exactly what was at stake. Even though her nerves were on edge, her determination stayed strong. Then, Barry's voice crackled through her comms, which broke the tension. Captain, Daedalus is in the train's mainframe. He's now turning on the emergency brakes. Get ready! Gina's lips curled up in a smirk. She felt a wave of relief wash over her chest as she looked at Leonard. I'm sorry to let you down, she said, her voice dripping with sarcasm as she grounded her boot and felt its magnetic grip connect to the train floor. But I'm afraid this train is going to stop at an unplanned stop. What the fuck? Leonard started, but he was cut off when the train shook violently and the emergency brakes screamed like metal being tortured across the tracks. Leonard and the Black Death troopers fell over when the car suddenly slowed down. Passengers held onto the armrests, gasping and yelling, their eyes wide with fear and disbelief. One of the robots caught the suitcase bomb just in time as it slid across the floor. Leonard got up quickly, his face twisted with rage. His eyes shot to the window, where the entrance to the King's Cross tunnels was just out of reach. They had stopped just a few meters from disaster, and with that thought came fear. Thanatos would not accept failure. You fucking bitch! Leonard yelled and pointed a shaking, accusing finger at Gina. You backstabbing cracker, you're dead. But Gina didn't even blink. She faced his anger with calmness that didn't waver, and her voice was as cool as winter steel. You know what I just realized, Leonard? She said, her lip curling into a smile. You got on this train without a ticket. And I'm sorry, but I have to ask you to get off. One way or another, you're getting off. I'll kill you, Leonard roared and ran at Gina like a wild animal. His anger made him wild and primal, fueled by rage, failure, and a strong desire for revenge. He wanted to tear her apart and punish her for everything he thought she'd taken from him. Gina said in a cool voice, That's what I thought, with a wry smile on her lips. She had expected this, the anger and carelessness. She knew Leonard too well. She turned on her comms with the calmness that comes from the years of fighting. Now, Zeus. At that exact moment, Zeus sprang into action. He swung around the outside of the train and set off his grapple hook, his heart racing. The steel cable shot out with a loud twang and hooked onto the window frame. He felt the pull when the winch turned on. He held on tight and shot forward, his body braced and perfectly angled for re-entry. He aimed his boots right at Leonard as he flew through the broken window. He hit like a missile that was guided. The impact was terrible. Zeus's armored feet hit Leonard's body with such force that they broke bones and lifted him off the ground, throwing him backward. When Leonard crashed through the other window, Glass shattered. He fell hard outside, but he wasn't hurt. As he staggered to his feet, dust rose around him and rage radiated from him like heat. As he turned on the nanomites in his suit, his ruined eye glowed faintly in the dim light. With a mechanical snarl, a two-bladed axe appeared in his hand, humming with deadly energy. The blades pulsed and shone as they reflected the chaos around them. Leonard sneered. "So you're Gina's new lapdog," and tightened his grip on the weapon's hilt. "Can't wait to see her face when I slowly rip your arms and legs off while you're still alive." A chill ran through Zeus. The stories about Leonard Payne weren't too far off. They didn't go far enough. This was not a normal enemy. But Zeus held his jaw tight, kept his feet steady, and got ready to fight with his sword. Not just a fight. It was a promise to keep Connor safe, to stop a beast. "Bring it, asshole," Zeus growled, and the steel in his voice cut through the fear. He tightened his grip on his sword, and every muscle in his body was ready for battle. Leonard charged at Zeus with a primal roar, his double-bladed axe cutting through the air with the intent to kill. The weapon's hum grew louder and more threatening, vibrating like a death knell in the cold, quiet air. Zeus's instincts kicked in, and he moved out of the way just in time to avoid the deadly sweep. The force of Leonard's swing sent a shockwave through the air, shaking the train's frame with the violence of his attack. Leonard didn't stop. He turned his body to make another fierce swing. He raised his sword to meet it. When steel hit steel, it made a loud clang that shook his arms and sounded like cannon fire in his head. He parried and fell back, taking each step back carefully and with purpose. But inside, doubt gripped him like a vice. "What the hell am I supposed to do to stop this guy?" he thought, with beads of sweat on his forehead. It was hard to fight reading last night, but this is something different. That guy's body is like a tank. Leonard growled because he was sick of the dance that was going on. "Stop running and fight like a man," he yelled, his mouth full of spit as he slammed his axe down with a loud bang. Zeus jumped back. The axe hit the ground with a loud thud, burying itself deep between metal rail ties and holding the weapon in place for a short time. Now, Zeus's instincts kicked in. His heart raced. Apollo's voice came through his comms at that moment. "Be calm, analytical." "Sir, his armor is a prototype," Apollo said. "Structural analysis shows that the leg joints are weak. A hit from your electric sword should short it out, at least for a while." "Thanks for the tip," Zeus said quietly to himself. He rushed forward without thinking. His electric sword came to life, and arcs of blue light crackled along its blade. He dropped low, spun under Leonard's flailing grasp, and stabbed the weak spot behind his left knee. Electricity shot out from the point of impact, sending sparks flying as the energy flowed through Leonard's suit. His leg stopped moving, and the muscles under the broken armor locked up. Leonard screamed, more out of anger than pain, and pulled his axe free. He swung wildly, but Zeus had already turned away. He landed a few steps back with the grace of a cat, chest heaving, sword raised, and eyes fixed on his opponent. "No one can get the jump on me," Leonard growled, his voice full of rage. "Ever." His armor flickered in an unpredictable way because the shock made the glow unstable. He steadied himself, showing his teeth like a hurt animal. Then there were the shouts coming from the train's open windows and the scared faces of people who had found hope in one armoured teenager. "Go ahead, Zeus. Kick his ass," someone yelled. "Show that bald guy what London thinks of the Black Death." Came another, the accent full of pride. Then Connor's voice rang out above everything else. "We're behind you, Zeus." A fire burned in Zeus's chest. The fear went away. The tiredness went away. Their voices didn't just give him energy, they kept him grounded. It wasn't just about him anymore. This was about all the people on that train. All the kids, all civilians, and all his friends. He raised his sword and looked death in the eye. "Hey, you one-eyed fuck," Zeus yelled, his face full of defiance. "Or are you just a big girl who needs Daddy Thanatos to fight for you? You bald, sad bastard." The insult hurt a lot. Leonard's whole body tensed up, and his anger boiled over. He charged with a guttural roar, limping, armour sparking, and moving slowly because of the damage to his leg. But that was just what Zeus had been waiting for. He raised his wrist and fired his grapple hook, which caught on a bridge over a public road high above. The line got tight, and in a flash he shot up into the air. The wind rushed past his visor, and the world shrank below him as he flew over it, like a missile of revenge. Zeus turned around in the air. He started the fight by kicking the line and dropping, blade first, aiming for Leonard's spine. The electric sword hit the prototype armour with a loud bang. Energy rushed through the circuits, making sparks fly from Leonard's back as the suit flickered violently and the systems fried because they were too full. But Leonard, for some reason, stayed standing. He howled in pain, gritting his teeth, his anger still strong. He said, "You little shit," and shook with rage. "When I get the chance, I'll fuck you up so badly, and anyone you care about will suffer." He tapped the side of his helmet to hear something in his comms. "Is that a promise or a threat?" Zeus got angry and got ready to attack again, but Leonard stepped back, his eyes wide. "Until then, I'm leaving." The engines roared and the air split as a VTOL with the Black Death insignia flew down quickly, its rotors cutting through the smoke and wind. Zeus's eyes narrowed when a cable fell from the side hatch. Leonard didn't think twice. He ran towards the line, still limping, and was pulled up into the air with brutal speed. Leonard turned and smiled like a devil just before the hatch closed. He gave the middle finger one last time as a sign of smug defiance. "Goodbye, lapdog," he yelled as the doors slammed shut and his voice faded. The VTOL flew away into the clouds, engines screaming, taking Leonard away to the grey skyline. Zeus stayed standing in the dust that was settling, his heart racing and his jaw tight. "Bollocks," he said, lowering his sword as the last sign of the enemy faded into the distance. They had stopped the train, rescued the hostages, but they had lost Leonard Payne. He knew that next time there would be no second chances.